I'll tell you what, hit that live button is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to do. I tell you what, I have been doing lives for a very long time, and every time it's still hard. It's still a hard thing. But hello, and welcome to my page. My name is Tammy Neff. Boy, you're so close to me. I wish my arm was a little bit longer. But hello, and welcome to Tammy Loves Vintage. And the reason for this video today is I put out all of my fall decor probably a week ago, and my mom stopped by the other day, and I was here. I've been babysitting my granddaughter 3 days a week, which has been a joy for those of you that I haven't talked to lately. And anyway, so we were sitting and chatting, and I was making some coffee for them, my mom and stepdad. And anyway, they were like looking around at all my stuff, and we were talking about, you know, how did you make this, or what is this, and I don't know, and they were kind of interested, I guess, and it was kind of fun to look at my things again through fresh eyes. And so, hi Brenda. So I have been spending most of my time over in our crafting group, and so I thought maybe I would show you guys some of the things that we've done, and how my fall decor looks right now. And I don't have a lot of color in here, but so for those of you that are after color, I see that I'm lacking a little bit of that rusty orangish pop that I like to incorporate in the fall. I have some here on my table, but I don't really have anything else colorful. I'm very neutral decorator. So anyway, I like to take the seasons to put in a pop of color, and I just haven't pulled that. I haven't pulled all of it out. I did a little bit outside. I don't know if you can see, my window's probably dirty, but I did a little bit there. Well, you can't really tell, and I can't zoom you in. No, you can't tell. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me flip you around and we'll just get started. This is just my, oh wait, you're looking at me. Hang on. so bad. Like my kitchen, and well, let's just start here. So here's my table. And you guys that have, you know, followed me for a long time know that I pretty much have left this setup this way for probably a year. I'm notorious for tweaking something that's working for me, and I just tweak it and make it work for each season. And this was my spin on fall. I added some of these little chenille pumpkins that we made probably 2 years ago together. I just kind of stuck them here around with this French coffee pot that my, it's a chocolate pot actually, that was a gift from my mom and stepdad. And then I left my quail eggs from the spring. These are real quail eggs that are just left out to dry. And I love them, and they're kind of the fall color. They've been here all summer, but I kind of like them. They're on this pretty silver tray, and then I have a pretty silver bowl, and in the bowl, I always like to put beans. You guys know I like to put something so that you're not looking down into the bowl. So just to give you guys, I'm just trying to inspire you and give you some ideas. And I have a couple of these doorknobs that I kept. Most of them I sold to you guys, but I kept this one. I like the patina on it. So I've got an old doorknob with a fern sitting there beside my napkins. And then these, you can buy these by the bag full at Hobby Lobby, and that's just a nice fall pop of color for fall. So anyway, that just always sits on my table. And then just the other night we finished, I think I did 6 pumpkins. I did 2 of them without the girls, and then I did 4 with the girls. So this is a gourd that I made, and so I got all these paper mache shapes, pumpkins and gourds at Factory Direct Craft, and then I painted them, and then I kind of I did use that Pentart crackle finish, and then I waxed them out. And so I cut off the top, and I added some fur, And I did a paper leaf, okay, and stamped it on old sheet music. And then this is, you know, this is a real pumpkin stem. So you take the, you take your pumpkins and just set them out by a fence or just somewhere to rot. And when the tops get, like when the pumpkin gets a little bit rotted, you're able to just pull the top right off and then just lay it out to dry, and you can use it the following year when you're making pumpkins and things. This is just a stick from the yard on another chenille pumpkin. I didn't really do anything up with them. I kept them pretty basic. And then this is a little tiny paper mache one, and it's just a little piece of driftwood in there. And then I have a little old butter dish, and I added some of the acorns that we've stuffed in the past, with where you just take a little circle of fabric and sew it and stuff it, and then glue a real acorn cap to the top of it. And you can make teeny tiny ones like this, or you can make, you know, bigger ones, of course, like this. You can see the different sizes. And I've got some more. If I remember to go over there, I'll show you some more. And then I've got to pull, these were little hydrangea flowers that I just got on Amazon. You can find them in my Amazon store. I bought 2 picks, and 2 picks was not enough to do an arrangement on its own. I really needed 3, and I never took the time to order any more. So I just kind of worked those in with this in my old, this is an old paint bucket. And I'm going to save my mantle for last. It's like the main reason I'm here, but I wanted to show you some other things. And so I just threw some old sticks. I think some of this is driftwood from the island when we go up to Kelly's Island for vacation. And then I've shown you a few button garlands, and this is a favorite one. And I just kind of drape it through the greenery. So there's that. And then I have these black velvet pumpkins with the leather leaf and an old brooch on them, again with the real pumpkin stems, just stuffed. And then in the bottom, I always try to remember to put beans in the bottom for weight. And I don't always remember to do that because you only make these every once in a while. But anyway, that's always a nice thing because then they feel, I don't know, they just feel more substantial. I don't know, this one's completely stuffed with beans, completely. But I like the fiber fill too. So this one has seam binding. It has an old dried up stem like that one. Most of my stems are real. And then this is just a leather, like an old piece of a belt probably, or a purse, or who knows what. And then some seam binding. Oh, it's got a little spot on it there. And it's just black velvet. I don't think it's I don't think it's old. I think it's a newer velvet, but and I don't think it's a silk velvet either. I think it's just a velvet, but I love that. And then this one, we made these years ago. You guys probably remember. You guys remember our pumpkins? I know I sold a ton of them to you over the years, but this one was just a burlap one, and for some reason, I still love it. And I put some game letters on that just say hi. I've got, again, my paper leaves. I love doing the old paper leaves. I put a little bit of netting, if you can see the black netting, and then there's just some old buttons on there, acorns, and a little pine cone. And so I don't know why, it just works. So I love the texture of burlap. It's not as big as it used to be. I don't know if anyone's really even using it still, but I do a pop here and there. I still like it. And then in the group we made, I think it was the month before, oh, it might have been last month actually. Might have been the month before, I don't remember. But we made these velvet. We made these books. Clara, I just saw your word velvet popped up. Thank you. But I tried my hand at the journaling. Now everybody does these journals, and not everybody, but a lot of people are doing journals, and I'm not really a journaler. Both of my daughters love to write in their journals, but I don't do that so much. So I called mine a treasure book. And so in keeping that in mind, I have to be careful that it doesn't get too full. See how it's starting to be, like I want it to be level. I don't want it to be like hanging open like this. So when I originally made it, I made it I had too many treasures. So anyway, I kind of backed it off a little bit and saved some pages to make another one someday. But this was what I came up with for the cover, and I found this in a children's book. It says, "This is my book," and I love that. I made a little puddle of buttons there, and just put some old papers on top of just muslin, and I tea stained it so you can kind of see it's dirty looking. And then I found this word in one of the kids' books. I like using kids' books because the words are a little bit bigger. And then this was a frame off of Amazon. You can find it in my Amazon store under craft supplies. An old clock face. I don't know how much of this you all want to see, but we went through how to put them all together. And you can either replay or screenshot or whatever. But this might not be a bad one to share with your friends because I'm going to be showing you giving you lots of inspiration. Anyway, so this was just how I did up my pages, and had old checks, and I had dried some flowers probably 2 years ago, and my husband's name is Randy, and I found that card, so I threw that in there. And then I just put these in with seam binding. I didn't do the sewing thing per se. I originally, I think my very first one of these I saw with Michelle at the Vintage Daisy. I know I've shared her with you guys before, but anyway, and I did 2 signatures. I showed them how to do that. I thought I made 3, but 3 was too many for this book. I ended up and backed it down a little bit. But anyway, so there's my little, and I just call it a treasure book. Originally, when we were making them in the group, I was all about doing the journal, and I had some blank journal pages in here even. And then I decided, you know what, I'm not going to journal in this thing. I just want it to be pretty, something pretty and interesting. And when someone comes over and wants to, you know, look at my stuff, they might open it up and find it interesting also. So that's, you know, that's what I, that's what I did. So we're calling our junk journals treasure books. And I kind of like a treasure book. For me, better. I like that word. And then this is my granddaughter's little bouncy thing. She sits and bounces, and she watches, she loves Sing 2 on Netflix. So we watch Sing 2 about at least once a day when I babysit, and sometimes twice a day. So, okay. So then you can tell, if those of you that know my decor know that I've kind of changed out my little piano bench a little bit, and added some fall pumpkins. Now this one, if you are a doily lover, this one is super easy, and I left it so you could see. I took a styrofoam ball and cut a third of it off, okay, to make it sit flat. You can see the styrofoam ball. Can you see in there? And I wrapped it with the doily, gathered it with the tie, and tied it. And that is all I did. And I think it's the neatest look. I have 2 of them. I'll show you the, well, let me just, well, I don't want to make you dizzy with me running around, but let me grab, here's the other one. So, and it, again, it's the same thing. It's just the doily's a lot tighter. And when I made them originally, you know, years ago, I made them to sit together. One was up on a candlestick. And so I liked the variation of color, and I hated that this was so far apart to expose the ball, which I could have lined it, but I didn't. And then I loved all of the scallops on that doily. I thought it was kind of different. So anyway, there's that one. Hang on a minute, I'll put this back. Gotta have everything just so, right? I've gotta have it just right. And then this one I stuffed, this was just some fabric that I had, this was a bed skirt, one of my kids' bedroom's bed skirts when they were little, and I always loved the little dots on it, so I made a pumpkin out of it, and I put a rusty washer and a clock face, cheesecloth, and a piece of driftwood. And so I kind of liked like the fresh white with all of the rusty, crusty stuff. And then this was a leather book that we did forever ago. You guys have to see all of the old videos to see how I did all of this. Go to my YouTube channel. It's the easiest way to search. Go to Tammy Loves Vintage. You can search pumpkin. You can search books. You can just search there because it's the easiest. Anyway, I just took an old paper and I glued it to the binding of this book because it was in great shape. It was all that watercolor paper, and the book is in perfect condition, except the jacket was destroyed. So I thought this made the book more interesting, so I did that to it. And then, of course, your glass candles you can get on Amazon. They're real cheap. They're in my shop, and then I just did another button garland, just like that one, and wrap it around my candles. And again, we've done that years ago. Okay, let's see. I told you fireplace last, so let's come over here. I hope I'm not making you too dizzy. Here's some more of my acorns in all different colors and sizes. There's probably the Mac Daddy of them all. And there's just a smaller one. And I just put them in my little Trumpeter scale. And I have a spool, and I found this little clay dog. You probably remember him. I laid some keys out, and this kind of stays here all of the time. I don't want anything high when you're reaching for the light. I don't want to break anything. So we just kind of leave it that way. And then, okay, so this is a little full. Some of my decor is very full, I know. I used to have a store. I loved doing the displays. It was like my favorite thing. And I should have taken things down before I added fall, but I didn't. I just left it and worked it all in. So I know some of you are going to be like, whoa, that's way too much. But it works for me. So just don't look at it all as a whole. So here's another one of the little pumpkins that we made in the group. And I used driftwood, and then this part is an old stem. It's actually an old stem, but it was too short to use alone, so I just left it and put it with the driftwood piece. And again, the pumpkins, all the sizes and the gourds. Here's another one. They came from Factory Direct Decor. So here's another one. It's pretty simple, but I did add a couple paper leaves. There you can see, I'm holding the phone with one hand, but they're back there. And just some seam binding, some Excelsior, and the little doilies. Cut the stem off and you're good to go. And I just set it up on the book stack there, you can see. My cash register numbers, love those. And my alarm system back there. Not much I can do about that. So, and then I have my breadboard stacked, and one of my tassels that you guys, we've made tassels a million times together. So there's one of my tassels. A lot of you probably have a tassel from me. And then the latest thing we've been doing in my private group has been these mushrooms. If you go on Etsy and look for these mushrooms, they're $125 a piece and thereabouts. You might find some a lot cheaper, but they don't look like this. So we learned how to make them, my friend Julie and I, and we shared with the girls in my group how to make these mushrooms, and they are fabulous. I think they're fabulous. And it was a learning curve, but we figured it out. And then we did, just yesterday, I taught them another mushroom that can be made for little ornaments. So absolutely love the mushrooms. You can find them on Etsy. I will have a few of them in my sale, way not as much as they are on Etsy, but if you're desperate, you can go there. And then I haven't changed this out much. I don't think, since you guys saw it. I did put my little wooden deer. He's a little German carved wooden deer in there because he was up top. I don't think I did anything else. I don't think I did. And look how many little butter pats I have. I had no idea I had that many. And I have more in my cabinet in the hallway. So we'll look at that another day. Hi, you guys. Thank you so much. So here's my buttons. Remember, we've done well, you may not all remember, but we've done a lesson on buttons and how these are the 2-hole. Most of them are bone. Sometimes they're plastic. Sometimes they're wood. But the 2-hole buttons are all right here. And then these are like my little doll baby buttons because they're so tiny. And then this was just an old salt, and I don't like to display things with nothing in it, so I just added some buttons with the strings. So there's that. And then I have my Boggle game pieces down in the bottom because I love the white and black, and I just thought the lettering was interesting. And so I have that there, and then these are just black beans that I used with some buttons to kind of break up all of the white dishes, and to draw your eye kind of pops the the English ironstone advertising lid. So there's that cabinet. All right, so we're almost ready to go. Oh, we did do the tissue. This is my space. So I've got my books that I read the baby, and my glasses, and the remotes and all that stuff. But I did make this really, really cute tissue box cover. Again, that was paper mache, and I made it here on the page just not very long ago in one of those events. So you guys can see that, how to do that, if you just scroll back not too far. And then, okay, so here's where I moved that. So I had this little pastry wooden form over by on the piano, and then this little riser and with the beans. But I brought it over here because my daughter came with all her dogs. She's got 3 dogs, and I thought, oh, they're gonna knock that over and I'm gonna have a mess. So here's another way to do a button garland. And I love both ways, so I have both ways. Oops, I've got a bean. Anyway, I love them both ways, so I display both ways. But I really like that. My daughter Abby bought me this years ago, and I thought it was sweet, so I always work it in somewhere. Another way to decorate your Amazon candle, I just added an old collar and then put buttons around the top edge of it, just hot glued, and it works fine. Some more cash register buttons, and then an English advertising bottle. You guys remember when we made this lamp, or we've dressed up the lampshade a little bit. So there's that. And then, so I just showed you this pumpkin, and then this is kind of, I don't know. Get ready. Tell me what you think of this one. So I took the paper mache pumpkin, and I did the same thing with the cracks and all that. Hi, Debbie. You just watched the tissue one, Linda? Well, that's cool. So then I put a door knob plate on top of this one, and it worked this key in. And I thought, when I bought it, I thought this key was like, right here is my fireplace. See, it's got a key in there, and it runs the gas for your fireplace. That's what I thought it was. It kind of looks like that kind of a key. Well, it's not. It is, let's see if you can read it. Do I have it? Yeah, it's a casket. It is Boyer. Oh, I can't read it very well, but the words are on this side, and it was something, I don't know, I can't read it, Boyertown or something like that. But this side says Casket Company, and so I guess they must have used a key to lock the caskets, and I've got it. So I know that's real, and I thought, what am I going to do with a key that says casket on it? But I thought, how appropriate coming up for Halloween, and you really can't, I mean, when you're looking at it, you really can't see that. But it's an interesting little story, I thought, and I think it's okay. I think it's cool, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to find another one, but using this door plate, it made the key stand up. But the funny thing about it, so I got to tell you guys, the funny thing about this is I did it in my private group a couple nights ago, right? It hasn't even been that long. You would not believe the ads I'm getting for caskets on my Facebook. When I'm scrolling Facebook, I keep, you know how we used to get clothing ads and all that? Well, now, when Summer came home, my daughter came home with the baby, I kept getting all these baby clothes, baby toys, and all that stuff. Well, now I'm getting caskets. So I haven't told the girls in the group yet, but it's hysterical. I've seen it 4 times now in just 2 days. So they're trying to sell me a casket. They think I'm in the market. I don't know. It's just funny to me. So funny. So, okay. All right, here we go. So here's my fireplace. I'm going to stand back to give you guys kind of an overall. And it's a lot. I know it's a lot. And I need to take some stuff out, but I kind of like it. So I'm like, every time I pull something out, I'm like, oh, but it needs that. So anyway, I actually worked in this gourd right here after I finished them the night before last. So I actually, instead of taking anything out, I actually added one more piece to it. And then I added this one down here as well, because I told you I made 6. And I want to do it on my dining room table, but I have my dining room table set up for a sale in a couple weeks. We're going to take a little vacation next week, so it'll be the probably the week after before I'm able to do the sale, but I'll let you all know. More is better, Linda. Yeah, more is more. So, all right, let's break this down, and I'll give you kind of a little close-up of each thing, okay? So if you remember, I did this together with you guys. I am 100% sure. It was an old finial, and it was pretty all the way around, except the back side had been cut off. Whoops, I'm sorry. The back side had been cut off. So I put an old book page on the back side of it. And then I just put a little bit of something on here just to make it more interesting, I guess. And then another book that was in bad shape. We redid this book. I was sitting here looking at the fireplace, and I did with you guys a what's wrong with my mantle. And then I came in and I pointed out what all was wrong with the mantle, and then I fixed everything up. I can't remember if I think I fixed it up on a video, and then I came back and showed you how it looked and what I did. So those two things were a fix for something that I felt was wrong. This is a clock that we made in our group. I absolutely love it. It was a wooden shoe. I used a coat hanger to hold up the clock face and this stuff. And then there's a spring from an old clock and layered clock faces. And then I'm sure there's a key tied on here. It's kind of my thing. Yeah, no. Oh no, I tied something else on here. I tied something with a number on there. There's no key really? Huh. Oh yeah, here's one of those gas keys that I was telling you that I thought the casket key was. There, I do have a key. I rarely do a project without an old key. And then I adhered clock faces, and then I got the mechanism from Hobby Lobby, and I glued a feather to the second hand. So that little feather boinks around. And it's just a fun thing, you know? I know it's quirky, but it was quirky in a vintage way, and I absolutely love how it turned out. Anyway, then this was my latest. You guys haven't seen this. I was at the Zor antique show with my friend Julie, and this was one of my treasures, was this breadboard. It's an old breadboard. I don't think, let's see if they had anything. No, they just had the price on it, but it was just an old breadboard. Sometimes they tell you where they got it or whatever, but kind of has it kind of has a Scandinavian look to me. I don't know if it is or not, but it just has that look. Oops, I got some hot glue. So, all of the greenery you can find on my website. You guys know that at TammyLovesVintage.com. And then this is another mushroom that we did, and I used a doily. And then we did the underneath, and then the underneath of this one, though, I added lace to. So again, these tutorials are all in my private group. So some, you know, I'm telling you what's here and what's in the group. And what's in the group will always be in the group if you ever want to join and just watch. It's since 2019. Every project is in there. And then on this one, I put a little bit of bling just to be like, what? You know, something different and interesting. That candle needs a new battery. I can see that. So I made this bottle just for fun, and I had this big wooden ball, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it. So I ended up and propped it up on an old bolt and a rusty washer, added some pearls, and then decked out the bottle. And for some reason, I made several bottles that sit down that time, and for some reason, of all of the bottles I made, this one was a favorite. So I've kept it. I have this old box. It's got some old tools inside and the way I found it. Here's a really cool thing, a cute idea that's easy. I have an old spool of crochet thread, I assume. I don't know for sure. I added some fur to it and a bow, and I put a little pumpkin stem. So keep your stems, you guys. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Linda. Thanks, you guys. Keep your old stems because they're great for all of these projects. Speaking of, so remember at Easter time when we did the, I found the old vaporizer, and I had found one without the glass, and then and it was the perfect egg holder. It was another one, I think it was a Sparkle Room event, and I put an Easter egg. I made an Easter egg and put it up here. So just the other night, I did this gourd, and I put it on here for fall, and I'm using the vaporizer. I had another one and I sold it to one of you girls because the glass was missing. It was the first one that I found, and I'd put a big egg in the top and a little egg in the bottom, and it worked out great. But I kind of like this one since it's all together and I know what it's supposed to be. It was just one of those things at an antique show. I didn't even know what it was. Anyway, so this one is a smaller gourd than the first one that I showed you. It looks big there, but it's not. I mean, here's my hand. It's not that big. But I loved, this was my favorite stem of all of them that I kept. I buy my pumpkins according to their stems more than the pumpkin. I want the stem after for all of eternity, right? Again, here's my signature key. There's some it's not really I'm just saying that. It's not really. It's not really. I just tend to put a key on a lot of things. I stamped and did the leaves. And I didn't wrap the leaves with the wire, that paper wire that I've showed you before. I just cut them, punched them, and left it. A round breadboard, and then I love this. Was a gift from my friend Julie, and it's a favorite treasure. It's an advertising thermometer. I can tell you, I had it in my hand, and it was $40, and I thought, I'm not spending $40 on that. That's ridiculous. And then, hi, Michelle. And then I decided I loved it, and we had already left, and here, Julie bought it for me for my birthday. So I got it anyway because I couldn't remember where we found it when I wanted to go back and get it. So you never walk away from those things, but luckily she's a great friend, so she took care of me. Little miniature grandfather clock. We were at a show last year, or was it the spring or last fall? I might have been last fall. Anyway, they had these clocks, and I bought one and Julie bought one. They had two of them, and they're different but similar. So I loved it. She wanted one, and I wasn't going to get it. And then I thought, I'm going to go to her house and admire her clock all the time and wish I'd have got one and never see one again. So I went ahead and bought it. And it's got, I don't know if I can pick it. Yeah. It's got little claw feet on the bottom, little brass claw feet. So it's very cool. It's very heavy. It doesn't work. My stepdad said I probably could never get it to work because it's wound too tight. It's all locked up, and he figured it's rusted, done for. So I'd have to find another. But I don't care. Even if I mailed it off somewhere and tried to get it fixed, I'm not going to wind it every day. So I don't care that it doesn't work. Okay. And then so when you're looking at brooches and stuff, a lot of times you can find these little bugs. So yeah, it was great for a pumpkin tie on, again, with a real, I want to say original, but a real pumpkin stem. I passed these, you guys. Remember when I made these? These are on the tops of your chairs. Look at your chairs. Or remember back to mom or grandma that had these on either side of the top of the back of the chairs for the kitchen table. Okay, that's what I think those were. They were some kind of a wooden, maybe they were top of, I don't know, spindles on a step or so, who knows. But I think they look like they were on the top of a chair. And so I did this in a video with you guys, but I hot glued, you can see the hot glue, but I hot glued pine cone, I tore a pine cone apart and glued it on there and made it look like a big acorn. And I think it's just really, really cool. You have them on, there you go, Penny. So when you're tired of your chairs, just cut those off and make yourself some acorns. My little German iron cow. I'm gonna have to find me some more of these. I really like the cows. Let's see, my big clock face. I'm trying to find, I'd like to get a couple more. But I love the clock face, and I added the paper face and the watch part and the button. I added that stuff to jazz it up a little bit, but I found that one on Etsy actually. And then this one's from my friend Penny, Penny Morrison. Yeah, Penny, see, I even put her name on there so I wouldn't forget. And she made this crocheted pumpkin and sent it to me and put a knob on it. And Penny, if you're here or if you happen to see this, the knob, and packing it the last couple of years, the knob came unsewn just a little bit. So I popped it off and added the doily and then put the knob back on, and just kind of changed it up a little bit. But I love this pumpkin, and it's always going to be a keeper. And thank you, Penny, again. And then we had this rusty paint bucket. I've got one of my plops. You guys know I love our plops. I sell them on my website. They are great to just plop. You just add them to your decor. I'll show you. So this is an old rusty, you know, I paint houses for a living. So I always collect old paint. So I showed you another paint bucket. I've got 3 or 4 of them. They're all completely different, but this was an old lead paint bucket, probably a Dutch boy, but it's gone now. I used to have them. I think I've sold them now. But I added a little bit of lace to it and an old key, and see how it's just very blah. So you take this plop, it's a half of a sphere, and you just plop it, and it's just perfect. And I use plops all over the place. This is this is a wreath on our website. It's just a small little wreath, and I use those underneath things. Was thinking about putting one under this instead of the raffia or the Excelsior, but I think it's for fall. I like the raffia, so it's fine. And then I put a tassel on my big breadboard. That was a toilet flusher up here from England. They found it in the trash. I've written all about that. You guys know about this English stuff. I had a connection in England, and I haven't talked to her for a long time, and I sold a lot of her salvaged pieces from 100 years ago. They would have like, they would make, let me turn you around. We're going to talk about this. Like potted meats. They'd have the little potted meats, Sainsbury potted meats, and they would eat their meat. Like we eat tuna and we throw the can away. Well, they'd throw their jar away. And so I have all of these advertising jars that's in my cabinet in the foyer. I've shown you before, but I'll show you again. Not today, but someday. They're falling apart. Okay, Penny, there you go. Now you know what to do. The hardest part is cutting up the pine cones. Once you get those things cut off, you're great. But anyway, so that's a toilet flusher from England. And so since it had a hole in the top and bottom, I was able to thread a tie through there. And then I just added old lace and pearls. And then I showed you guys how to do words on the back of a prism. And so that's what that is. And I love that. So that is, let me scan you. That is my mantle. Okay, and then Randy, my husband, his very first antique piece that he ever bought was this chopper. And I know in one of these videos, a lot of you said take the greenery out, but I really like the greenery in it. So I left the greenery. Couple of pumpkins that we did a couple of years ago. It might be 3 or 4 years ago that we've been doing these pumpkins, but I only kept 2. When I was unpacking, I'm like, I only kept 2 of my pumpkins out of all of those. I made a ton of them. So anyway, I will make another one with you guys this season, so keep watching. But I use this. This was a scarf. You know how grandma was making everybody had these little scarves, and I cut it up and made at the top, and I used a spindle. And then this one, again, I used a real pumpkin stem. This was an old sweater that I did. And then this one you can see was a bedspread. You can see, or it could have been a tablecloth, but I think those were bedspreads. And then I just added sorry, I'm so bad. I added a ton of lace for the tie. And then I have always loved this little clock face. It's always been a favorite. So I put it on a pumpkin that I can enjoy seeing it. And when I get it out in the fall, it's always one of those, oh, you know, one of those little moments. So let's see, I used to sell gourds in my shop and I always liked this one, so I kept it. And I always liked this one and I kept it. And I meant to put some seam binding on here before I did this video as I'm sitting watching TV. You still have yours, Marnie? Oh my gosh. As I'm watching TV, Marnie came and made pumpkins with us one year. Anyway, I meant to do that and I didn't, but it's okay. There's a flaw for you. I'll have that fixed before the next one. So this was the biggest pumpkin that I did the other night in the group, and I added the paper leaves, okay, and then I added some pearls just to be different. I put a doily on. I added a little bit of Excelsior. You can see just a little bit, not a whole. I didn't want a whole bunch, but you can see a little bit. And then I did a seam binding bow, and then I added this pin. These pins were used, the coal miners used to pin these on their jacket, and they'd get those little punched, you guys, I used to sell them for you guys, but now they're like $5 a piece to find them, and I was selling them for a couple bucks what I was finding them for, but now I've seen them up to $15 a piece. So, but those round punched numbers, if any of you have them, they're treasures. Don't get rid of them. They've gone up in value. And the miners would come out with their cart, and every cart they'd get a coin with the number on it, and then they would put it on their jacket, pin it to their jacket, and at the end of the week they get paid based on how many coins they had. So that's what this pin is for, I believe. I had several dealers tell that story, so I kind of believe it, but it could be something else, but that's what I was told. And this is a Westinghouse. It was a shift check. And I just thought it was really cool, and so I adhered it to the pin. The problem is it was so heavy, it wasn't wanting to stay very well. So I put a great big giant bolt on the back and covered it up with a paper leaf back here to try to counterbalance it a little bit. So we'll see. I may have to take this off and put it on something else, but I really loved it on that. I just thought it was really interesting, so I have it on there. This was a Hobby Lobby. I don't do a whole lot of Hobby Lobby, but this was a Hobby Lobby. And I put an old book page that had a picture on it. And then I did some sheet music and then just tied some seam binding. And I think I did this, I think I stained this. I don't think it came that way. Maybe it did. I'm thinking if I stained it though, why didn't I hit the tops of these? So I can't even be sure. That might be how it came. It just seems like something I would do. But when I'm looking at it now, I'm like, why didn't I paint this gold? So there's another flaw for you. I got two flaws, but you really don't see it. But I just notice it myself. And I think I could do better with the bows. Maybe change out the black and do the tea stained instead. But yeah, I did see possibility for that, and I really liked it. But yeah, maybe that needs to go back on the work table and change that out a little bit. And then what do we have up here? This one was a fun one. This is a regular old plastic pumpkin. I think it's orange. I could dig in there and see, but I probably painted it white. Let's see if I can. And I just started wrapping and wrapping. I can't tell. I think I painted it white. But it started out orange. And I wrapped it with yarn. Just strips of yarn, and I just went round and round and round and round and wrapped it. Oops, I got something. What do I have? A piece of paper. See, one of those paper leaves from last year. And then I added stained muslin shreds, and then just this gold tag that I found to it. Kept it kind of simple, and I love the texture of that though. So it's just a lot of interesting textures, I think. Thanks, Michelle. So anyway, there you go. There's our little corner that we talked about already, and my sewing collection. I'll let you peek at that and see if you can see in my sewing collection. I love to find interesting, let's see if I can get this to slide. Or does it go this way? Oh gosh, there we go. It's open. Oops, and there I dropped one of my acorns. Okay, sorry. Yeah, just old bobbins, but I love to find sewing things. These are tape measures. I have two of the little tape measures. And then this is just a regular old tape measure, and I put a button on it, and some hand painted pins mixed in there, and then some button holders and some old spools. And these are little needle packets. I don't know what they call it, but hi Esther. Yes, rewatch, because I pretty much have shown the whole house, or not the whole house, but the whole living room. I'll pick up my acorn. It rolled over here. It fell off. Anyway, so that's, oops, I about fell over my footstool. Sorry. Sorry, you guys. So that's a close up then of all of the things in the fireplace. So lots of things for you guys to be making. If you took notes, again, Millie's little bouncy chair, and those doily pumpkins are so stinking easy. So I hope you give those a try. And then I'll do another one of these stuffed pumpkins with you guys so you can see. And those of you that are like, I want to make a journal, but I don't want a journal, try doing a treasure book like mine. Those are fun. Yeah, so I showed you all of these things. We broke down all of the items and all of the handmade things. Loving on the mushrooms. Loving the mushrooms. It's been a mushroom month in my group. So anyway, you guys, that's all I have for this go round. And then I have some Halloween things that I've made in the past, and I want to show you that too, but I don't want it to be too long. So we'll do it. We'll come back and I'll show you a little bit more inspiration. But I love inspiring you. And when you've been doing this for so many years, you know, you have so much, and I sell a ton of it, but I like to keep it for a while. If you know that I like to keep it for a while, and I have people's names on some things where I make something and someone will say, if you ever sell that, let me know. So, and I do that. But anyway, yeah, right now I love everything that I have, and it's going to be very hard to downsize someday. I can't keep it all. So anyway, I thought I'd share my fall decorations with you guys and try to inspire you a little bit. If you're a vintage lover and you don't know what to do with it, maybe you can find some of these pieces and make some things for yourself. Thank you, Clara. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And I do hope you share this one with your friends. I usually tell you, don't share it, I'm terrible at this, but I think there's a lot to inspire them. And so if you know anybody crafty, this one would be one I would say you might want to pass along. So I don't know, maybe it sucked. I don't know. I think it was good. So anyway, thank you so much. Thank you for watching, and come back and see me sometime. I'll be around every now and again. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's nice to see you all. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Bonnie. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Allison. I'll sit and look at your comments later tonight. I'm going to go over, my daughter is gone for a couple days, so I'm going to go stay at the house and watch the dogs. She took the baby, unfortunately, so I just get the dogs, but I'm going to go over there. I think we're going to get some pizza and hang out over there for a while. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you love it. Oh, I just saw my lampshade. If you ever buy a lamp and you think it's boring, let me turn out the light so you can see it. That'll be better. Yeah, just add. So here's the rest of that scarf. I forgot. This is that scarf that I put the rest of it on that pumpkin right there. This was the rest of the scarf, and it fit it's leaning. I need to glue that back. I need to glue that where it folds this way a little bit more. But anyway, and then I put all of the ribs, I put buttons on them. And then this was a big collar, and it was a big long one. I think it was a collar, but it went all the way around this lampshade. And it was so funny. I'm in Debbie Riggs' group, and her girls, they were buying these and painting them white and black checks and all that stuff. But I really liked how I turned mine vintage, so I didn't want to paint it like that. But, and I was tempted to say, here's what I did with mine, but I didn't. So anyway, mine's kind of plain compared to theirs, but I love it, and it works in great. So there you go. If you ever have a lampshade and you want to dude it up, then do that. And you can dude it up. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. I know I don't come on all the time, but when I, feel like I have something to share, then I come on. So there you go. See you later. Bye. Oh, Stephanie, you just got here. You're going to have to catch the replay. Yes, you do you. Right, Michelle? Yes, I did me. And I thought I can always paint it black and white someday if I go for more color and all that stuff. So I can change it whenever I want to. So thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you later. Anybody that joined late, I did a whole close-up of everything. Lots of DIY vintage inspiration for you. So I hope you enjoy and I hope you share. Have a good day. Bye.